Imagine waking up in a country where you cannot speak freely, where newspapers print blank spaces, where leaders disappear overnight. This is not fiction. This was India in 1975. The world's largest democracy was a dictator's palace. Institutions, whether governmental, corporate, or social, are built for longevity and predictability. Justice, by its very nature, often requires redistribution of resources or fundamental changes in leadership. But what happens when the greed of power blinds them for control over everything they want? Why would such a national party would do? To understand this, we need to go through the incident that happened in 1975 by Congress led by Indira Gandhi during her prime rule.
In June 1975, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was facing a political crisis. The Allahabad High Court had just declared her elections invalid due to malpractice. At the same time, mass protests led by Jayaprakash Narayan were shaking the government, and the demand was simple: resign.
जयप्रकाश नारायण ने कहा कि अगर कोर्ट के फैसले के बाद भी इंदिरा गांधी अपना इस्तीफा नहीं देती तो प्रधानमंत्री निवास का घेराव होगा।
Everyone find it shocking that someone as great as Indira Gandhi would do something like this just to stay in power. But there must be a reason that's why her political party did this, and a strong reason was asked. There was none. The only answer was power. Congress was so blinded by the thirst of power and control on whole India, they saw nothing for their win and used every wrong way to secure the victory. The Allahabad High Court verdict on June 12, 1975 declared her elections from the Rae-Bareli constituency void due to specific violation of Representation of People Act 1951. The court found out that she had used government officials for her election campaign, including her election agent Yashpal Kapoor, who was a gazetted government officer at that time. She also misused government machinery to arrange rostrums, loudspeakers, barricades, and police personnel for her election rallies. She was engaged in corrupt practices by obtaining assistance from government servants to further her election prospectus, violating Section 123 of the Act. Allahabad High Court declared Prime Minister Indira Gandhi guilty of electoral malpractice on June 12, 1975, barring her from holding public office for 6 years. Jayaprakash Narayan was born on October 11, 1902 in Sitab, Bihar, which is now in Uttar Pradesh. Narayana studied in the United States, earning a master's in sociology from the University of Wisconsin and a bachelor's in behavioral science from Ohio State University, before returning to India to join the freedom struggle. His political journey, including serving as a general secretary of the Congress Socialist Party, founding the Socialist Party and guiding the formation of Janata Party, which became the first non-Congress party to perform a central government in 1977. Despite his immense influence, he famously refused political power, declining the offer to become President of India in 1977. In recognition of his lifelong dedication to social service, he was posthumously awarded India's highest civilian honor, the Bharat Ratna, in 1999. His legacy remains that of a revolutionary figure who prioritized grassroots, social transformation, and democratic integrity over personal political gain. Jayaprakash Narayan protested against the Congress government in 1975, primarily due to widespread economic distress and political corruption, which had fueled a massive students and public movement starting in Gujarat and Bihar in 1974. He demanded dismissal of Congress government and called a total revolution to transform the social, economic, and political spheres, arguing that merely changing the government was insufficient.
Dirty politics, the turning point. But instead of stepping down, power chooses control. On 25th June 1975, Indira Gandhi advised the President of India to declare national emergency. Official reason: internal disturbance. Was there any, or it was all a planning to stop the Allahabad High Court? Answer was clear. It was done to stop the order of the court from losing the power of position. So what they did? Suspension of civil liberties. Article 19, 21 and 22 of the Constitution were suspended. allowing the government to rule by decree without judicial overview. Anyone who dared to speak against the government was immediately arrested without any reason, without any warning, as their rights were suspended and the government ruled the country as dictators. Mass detention. Over 1010k people, prominent leaders like Jayaprakash Narayan, Morarji Desai, and L.K. Advani were arrested under the Maintenance of Internal Security Act (MAISA) without trial. Mass detentions were done to stop people from protesting against their government. The biggest voice of the people, Jayaprakash, was also detained as they knew. He can change anything because of the support that he gets from the people. And they won't fear anyone if their leader was this strong and brave.
Press censorship. Newspapers faced pre-censorship with power cuts to printing presses in Delhi and the merger of major news agencies into a single state-controlled Samachar. To hide the truth, they even silenced the news channels and newspaper. New printed newspaper were empty as the biggest space, which only showed that our biggest democratic country has now a dictator's home. Forced sterilization. A controversial population control campaign led by Sanjay Gandhi resulted in over 1.07 crore sterilizations, many of which were coercive and linked to the denial and essential services like rations and jobs. The message was very clear: obey or disappear. During the time of mass detention of big leaders, figures like Morarji Desai and Atal Bihari Vajpayee were jailed without any trial. Morarji Desai and Atal Bihari Vajpayee were jailed without trial because they were prominent opposition leaders who were actively participated in protests against Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's imposition of the emergency on June 25, 1975. Following the Supreme Court's conditional stay on the Allahabad High Court verdict that declared Gandhi's election void, the government declared a national emergency under Article 352, citing internal disturbances which allowed for the suspension of fundamental rights, including habeas corpus. Under the Maintenance of Internal Security Act, uh, the government conducted pre-dawn raids across the country to arrest key political figures, including 59 members of parliament, without the benefit of a court trial. Both leaders were detained for their roles in the opposition movement. Vajpayee spent more than 19 months in prison, where he criticized the emergency through his poetry, while Desai was arrested for leading the resistance that eventually culminated in the Janata Party's victory in the 1977 elections.
The great fall. Everyone gets their turn in the shine. And the day came, the day Janata Party shined their flag. In 1977, elections were finally announced and the people responded. The Janata Party defeated Indira Gandhi's government. Morarji Desai became the prime minister. Democracy was restored.
अगर जनता पार्टी की सरकार आई तो हमारे को आजादी देंगे, किसी को बिना मुकदमा चलाए नहीं पकड़ेंगे, अखबारों की स्वाधीनता का अपहरण नहीं करेंगे।
The emergency was not just a political event, it was a warning, a reminder that democracy is fragile and power, when unchecked, can silence an entire nation. Because sometimes the biggest threat to a country comes not from outside but from within.